الحمد لله الحمد لله الذي ألف بالإسلام بين قلوب المؤمنين وأوجب الاتحاد وحرم التفرق في كتابه المبين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله هدى من يشاء إلى صراط المستقيم، وأشهد أن سيدنا محمد رسول الله خير داع إلى طريق القويم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه الذين تحدبت نفوسهم وتهبت قلوبهم فكانوا سادة المنصورين. أما بعد، فيا عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي أولا بتقوى الله تعالى وطاعته. That is, all praise is due to Allah, who has united the hearts of the believer in Islam and has made it an obligation to remain united, and has made it forbidden to become separated in his clear book. I bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah, who guides to the straight path whom he wills, and I bear witness that our leader Muhammad is his messenger and the best caller to the way that is straight. O Allah, send your prayers and your peace upon our leader Muhammad and upon his family and upon his companions, whose hearts were united and whose souls were educated, so that they became victorious leaders. And what follows thereafter, O believers of Allah, I advise you, as well as I advise myself, to first have the proper regard for Allah and thereafter be obedient to him. Dear believers, I greet you with the universal greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be with you. This week, we are discussing the attribute of Al-Barr, or the originator. And Allah says repeatedly in the Quran, at least 4 times, where he talks about that Allah originates a thing and repeats it. He originates a thing and repeats it. Last week, we talked about being the creator, Al-Khaliq. And this week, we're talking about Allah being the originator, the one who originates something. And when we think about this idea of origination, this idea of it's not just the making of it. It's not just the making of it. It's the idea of it. It's the concept of it. So Allah says that he originates something. He has the initial concept or the initial idea of a thing. And the same thing, that this concept that is being originated can also be repeated. And in the Quran, it talks about how go through the land and see how we originated creation, and then we repeat it, talking about how we can use the examples of others, or use the examples of other lands, other people, and what they went through, their sufferings, their positive outcomes. And we can see that it was Allah who originated that, and whatever they may have went through, Allah can repeat that in someone else. So sometimes we take this as a negative, and sometimes we take this as a positive, where we see that if we don't live our lives correctly, if we don't live our lives in accordance with our Creator, the originator of Ari, that we will suffer the same fate of those that have come before us that did not do the same thing. Those that come before us and did not live in accordance with the will of their Creator, we may suffer that same fate. And on the other hand, sometimes we look at those who have achieved some level of success, and they did that because they followed the will of their Creator. They followed what their Creator had commanded of them, and we see they have achieved success. So we want to repeat that. So we want to get that same success that they have, and it may not just be in material things. It may be feelings. It may be this idea of maybe I can achieve paradise if I only follow this path that was laid out before me, that was taken by those before me who found success. So Allah is Al-Barr, and we know as military members, as soldiers, that there are concepts that have been tried And some of them have been successful and others have not been as successful as they could have been. But they are refined. This process is constantly refined to get to a point to where now there is a range, or there is an expected level of success to be had by taking certain actions. And so this same principle we can see that we apply in our military life, that if I'm getting ready for a PT test, I need to work out a little bit. If I'm going to a class and I have to study to get a good grade, I need to study for a little bit. So I'm doing these things. I'm taking this process where I've seen someone has achieved success by doing these specific things. These specific things they've done it over and over again to achieve this success. I too can achieve that success. I too can be successful in my endeavors because I followed that plan. So Allah, on a larger level, on a larger scale, is telling us to just look at all the things that have happened in creation. If you want to learn how to grow a forest, you want to learn how to grow vegetables. What happened before? If I can plant a seed and I water it and I nurture it and it grows into a plant, that I can then go and do that same thing again and follow that same process. But it's not that I came up with the idea of putting the seed in the ground. It's not that I came up with the idea that this seed is going to turn from a seed into something great that's going to provide benefit to others. This was Allah. Allah originated this. Allah originated the seed. Allah originated everything that this seed was going to do with the knowledge that it could happen again. The same thing with the earth. Allah knew that if you put that seed in the earth was originated and developed in such a way that every time, or most times, you put a seed in that ground and you nourish it the way it should, it's going to grow into something great. This is what Allah did. This is what your Creator did. He made this, and we're now, it's a repetitive thing. So just with us, and we may get full of ourselves. We may think that, well, I'm somebody now. I'm doing great things now, and so I can start to act how I want because I'm by myself. I'm my own individual. I'm my own person. But Allah shows us throughout the Quran. Allah shows us, we can see throughout history, where there have been people who have had our same status, our same abilities, and maybe they were a little bit more, maybe they were a little bit less, but Allah was still in control in every one of those instances. Allah originates mankind, and just as Allah can originate mankind and the same experiences that we have, Allah can repeat it. Allah can bring about a new people. Allah can bring about a new people to live a certain way. So we can't be so caught up in ourselves. We can't be so caught up in this idea of I'm the best there will ever be. I want to be the best me that I can be. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to be the best that there'll ever be. And that does not mean also to stop striving to be the best you that you can be. The best you that you can be may be better in certain aspects than others in certain things. So strive for that, push yourself to that, but still remain humble. Remain humble, knowing that Al-Barr can originate a thing and repeat it. So everything that you think that you are, everything that you feel that you cannot be better, no one can be better than you at that. And just know that Allah originates a thing and He repeats it. So we're temporary. Our successes are temporary. They only last as long as the last person to remember us. But with Allah, He originates a thing and repeats it. And He didn't put a stopping point. أقول قولي أستغفر الله ولكم الحمد لله رب العالمين آمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. So, dear believers, Allah originates a thing and repeats it. Al-Barr originates it and repeats it. And sometimes when we look at ourselves, sometimes when we look at our family, sometimes we look at the condition of those who are similar to us, we can see certain patterns being repeated. We can see certain habits being carried on through generations. Sometimes these things are positive. Sometimes these things are not. And many times we may have ourselves taken on certain habits and characteristics or personality traits from those that we've seen as we've grown up, and they may not be as good for us as we would like. They may not be as positive for us as we would like. And so then we have to think about, at what point do I step in? At what point do I step in and develop this new characteristic, develop this new pattern, develop this new way of being? At what point do I do that? What point do I look at the at the creation of Allah, or at the things that Allah has done, where He has originated something and is repeating it? At what point do I say, well, I'm now going to take this stand and I'm going to create a new identity for my family. I'm going to create a new personality trait in my family. When am I going to stand up and say, this is what I want to be repeated? I don't want child abuse to be repeated. I don't want yelling at everyone to be repeated. Maybe there's some other thing that's been happening in your family for generations that you decide, I don't want that to be repeated. But now I'm a morally upright person. I'm an upstanding citizen. I'm a kind person. I'm a soldier. I'm a Muslim. I'm this type of person. And all those things that come from my past that were being repeated through our family, that I can look at my aunts and my uncles, I can look at my mother, my father, my grandparents, I can see all this pain, all this trauma being carried on over and over again to the next generation. At what point do I say that I'm going to be the one to stop that? I'm going to be the one that ends those patterns. And I'm going to now develop an identity that is more pleasing to my Creator. I'm going to develop an identity that is going to allow my family to succeed, allow my children to succeed, my grandchildren to be something, and not have the same insecurities that I have. When I take that step, well, I look at the creation and see how Allah has patterned this in the creation. Al-Barr has made this thing where He originates it and repeats it. What am I going to now originate in my family? What am I going to now originate in myself and repeat it? I'm a good person today. I'm going to repeat that tomorrow. And I'm going to repeat that the day after. I'm going to make prayers today. And I'm going to repeat that tomorrow. I'm going to repeat that the day after. I'm going to fast during the month of Ramadan. And I'm going to repeat that next year. And I'm going to repeat that the year after that. I'm going to smile and hug and kiss and love on my children, because maybe I never was. And my children are going to take that in, and they're going to repeat that and pass that to their children. And their children will pass that on. I don't need to take on the names, nicknames that were passed down for me. I don't need to take on the constant yelling and berating my spouse that may have been passed on to me, that I may have seen. We should take a look at the creation. Take a look at what Allah, Al-Barr, the Originator, has done, and say that maybe I can do that. I can't do this on a certain level. I can't create solar systems. I can't originate human beings. I can't originate space. I can't originate trees. I can't originate seeds in the dirt and the water. I can't do that. But what I can originate is this idea or this identity of who I am, of who my family will be, of how my children will be raised. I can originate that. I can originate those good feelings that someone has within themselves, and I can try and repeat that so that they constantly have the same good feelings themselves about themselves. But it takes me to stop and look at creation and look at what our Allah, what Al-Barr has done. Say, well, I'm going to do that in the way that I can. I'm going to create a new pattern in my family. I'm going to originate an idea or an identity of who I'm going to be. And all these things that it's going to take for me to be that, all the things that it's going to take for me to be successful in that endeavor, I'm going to strive. I'm going to work for it. And while I'm striving and while I'm working for it, I'm living in accordance with my Creator. I'm following my Creator's will because my desire is to be better. My desire is to be a good Muslim, to be a good person. And as I carry on that, as I carry on those actions, inshallah, God willing, I will have been successful. So, dear believers, Allah is Al-Barr, the originator. He originates a thing and repeats it. And we see that in creation. And for us as humans, sometimes we have to operate in the space that we can. Maybe all that we can originate is a kind word. Maybe all that we can produce is a smile. But we don't just have to do it once. We can do it over and over and over again. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين الحمد لله رب العالمين.